What's up, everyone? I'm here to do a reading for Scorpio season. This will be an all signs reading. I will be getting messages, lessons, advice, guidance for all 12 signs, and I will pull one card for each sign, one clarification card. I'll go ahead and set the tone with my cute little sound bell, and I'll go ahead and tap into the energy of the 12 signs, starting with Scorpio. Scorpio is represented by the eagle, which looks at the big picture and strategizes on how to gain its sustenance. And the scorpion, which actually lives in like the dark cracks, like the kind of like in the cut of society. Scorpions survive very harsh environments. So many Scorpios have been through challenges in life, maybe through childhood, through education, through self-perfection and self-criticism. So Scorpio energy resonates with the energy that drives us to transform. It is the passion, the fixation, the grit that drives us to become better and more strategic and more accurately performing versions of ourselves. So that is the energy that I will be tapping into for all 12 signs, starting with the sign of Scorpio. Leo. We'll get one more for Virgo to top it off. Thank you very much. And so we start with Scorpio and Justice, and we end with Virgo and the Star. And one collective card, just to make sure that, just to set the context and the tone of what we as collective are dealing with and will be confronting during Scorpio season. The words that I use, dealing with and confronting, I think those can have negative connotations, but I mean very much like the most positive interpretation of those words, because I do believe in working with energy, and Scorpio is very much an alchemist. Scorpio transforms. So whatever energy is thrown my way, at least, I'm challenging myself to absorb that and turn it into what I want to experience. So if someone is charging at me with anger or frustration, I can just meet them with softness and compassion and ask if they're okay. That's one way I'm trying to use Scorpio energy this season. So find your timestamp in the description. Remember to listen for your sun, moon, rising, Venus, and Mars. I also like to include Jupiter in the personal planets, because Jupiter teaches us about abundance. So I hope you enjoy, and I will see you very soon. One of the things about being a Pisces is it's difficult to sometimes exist because the other side of having strong intuition and connectivity, if you will, is it feels very burdensome sometimes, because we are also aware of how everyone else is feeling. And people don't deal with emotions well. It's not really something we're trained to do socially. But I think that's changing, and so I'm excited for that. But anyway, let's go ahead and get these clarifiers, starting with Scorpio. All right, so thank you for joining me here. I'm going to start with a collective reading. And so the collective got the daughter of baskets. Where's the camera? So collective got daughter of baskets. This is equivalent to the Page of Cups in the Lenormand deck, or the mainstream tarot. And it represents a person who is starting to open their heart. This is someone who wants to learn about love. They're curious about what it means to commit to something and what it means to explore partnership, what it means to explore emotion. It also represents someone who is, has experienced heartbreak and disappointment, but they're hopeful, and they really pour their love and passion and emotion into the things that they care for. They really tend to their garden, and you can tell by this woman in this white dress that represents purity, walking through this garden, this field, this garden. I think of it as kind of like her personal garden, though, like her personal area that she tends to. That's her plot of land. That is her thing that demonstrates how she feels and how she connects with the earth. So it's her way of expressing authentic, nurturing love. So that is the collective. That's the collective energy. And I think that maybe that's talking about our collective will and wish, almost, to have something that we all celebrate, like the holiday season. Like the holiday season's coming up. That's kind of like a coincidental connection to this energy. But it's also like we're starting to open our hearts to people, places, and things that used to trigger us, and maybe we're taking like a new approach because they're meaningful to us. Maybe we're just starting to be willing to adapt and willing to express appreciation for these triggers of the past. And when I say appreciation, perhaps not that. Perhaps it's more compassion. And I think that is more the energy of this this card, for sure. just because the Page of Cups is also someone like the child who observes their parents being human and is just so loving that it's okay. Like, I want you to know I still love you, even though you have your faults, even though perhaps I've suffered in some form or fashion on your behalf or because of a choice that you made. So that's the collective energy. And we're going to go ahead and jump into individual signs. So I'll see you in the description box. I was really nervous to finally just bite the bullet and start the channel, but I realized I was kind of gassing the experience. Like, I thought that you needed to be perfect, or your hair always needs to be in place, right? Or you had to have like a personality that was inauthentic. But I realized that I already, like, my personality as it is feels like a character because I'm a stranger. So someone's gonna enjoy me the same way that I enjoy these strangers on YouTube and TikTok. So yeah, anyway, let's go ahead and get into the signs. Starting with my beloved sister sign, Scorpio. I also said sister signs as opposite signs on my Instagram, but it's a flexible term. Anyway, plug, go follow soultree.astro on Instagram. All right, let's dive in, Scorpio. That is your favorite thing to do anyway, isn't it? So Scorpio, you have the Justice card is your main energy, clarified by the Three of Swords. So the Justice card in the Black Tarot is so beautiful because it's not the typical image of the divine feminine Libra woman seated in a chair with the sword and the scales in her hands. This Justice card in the Black Tarot represents a sword which balances two basins of water, one with a group of people, of different, diverse people at that, surrounding it and sort of tipping it over, seemingly to release water. I also think that it is interesting that there are flowers behind the sword. So it's kind of like giving me the idea that Scorpios are dealing with some sort of energy that is going to require maintenance, like kind of like hardcore maintenance, or like your personal garden, really like deeply tending to it. It seems like there are things that are ready to ripen. Like, there's something that's ripe and like ready to bloom, but some sort of perhaps emotional baggage is holding Scorpio back from really enjoying this new season of bloom. I heard an analogy on the Weekly Transit podcast that really sat with me and resonated because it describes Scorpio as, or it described the fall as a season where things do die, but we also are exposed and are able to more tap into inner qualities and gifts that allow us to really express our talents and the things that we are normally more inhibited about or embarrassed to display among others. Excuse me. What I also love about this card is that the sword is larger than the people. So it's kind of like, it's not just, perhaps Scorpio is feeling like you've been carrying the emotional weight of not just your experiences, but also your kind of like psychic or just really deep, intense emotional connection with the people who you love and that are meaningful to you. And that connection is feeling burdensome because I think that you could, for some of you, it could be take it if it resonates and leave it if it doesn't. It could be that you are dealing with some form of insecurity that you were not born with. This is something that society's bucket spilled over into you as you were developing, if you will. And it's time for you to let that go, release that water that society spilled into you. And you kind of have to employ like various skills that you've, like the various selves that you've been over the course of your life. It's going to take baby Scorpio, town Scorpio, country Scorpio, club Scorpio, church Scorpio. It's going to take all of the selves that make you to come together and use your strengths, lean into your strengths and what you know is fair, not just for you, but for all the people around you as well. I think that this energy is going to also require some sort of sacrifice or courageous act, because that's what's standing between you and some form of like blessing behind the sword. It's clarified by the Three of Swords. The Three of Swords represents heartbreak. It represents, that's the more obvious meaning, but it can also represent disappointment due to failures over time. And I believe that because it's swords, it represents more of like a belief or a thought process, like a thought loop perhaps that you've been conditioned into based on your social upbringing or perhaps your family or your friend group, your influences, outside influences, have caused this heartbreak. And that's been perhaps creating a loop of self-sabotage for Scorpio, because Scorpio is a sign that has that unfortunate baggage that comes along with all of the amazing intuitive qualities that make Scorpio. But yeah, what I'm remembering from the Three of Swords is that the traditional, I love Biddy Tarot because of this illustration, is very traditional yet contemporary, if you will. It's raining on the background of the Three of Swords in most mainstream decks. And after the rain is when clarity comes. So yeah, it's raining and it's hard to see. Things are blurry and murky and muddy, but this is temporary, and it came in order to teach me something, to show me something. As you can see, there's clouds up here. And when I say me, I'm just speaking in the first person so that we can all kind of relate to this message, not to put myself in the reading, although I do have a prominent Scorpio placement. So hey twin. Anyway, the rain is always temporary. It's not here for long. You see these clouds above the rain. These indicate to me like there was fog, but the rain is clearing it out. So the rain comes to wash away dirt so we can really see what's going on underneath the things that we've allowed to collect dust over time. And the clarity that comes after will allow us to access the courage that it takes to pull one of those swords out of our heart and put it to good use, cut away some of the weeds in our personal or collective gardens. And yeah, I really think that this really relates to the collective message as well. So I'll make sure to put that reminder in the beginning of this video to make sure that everyone watches Scorpio's reading, because this is really intense and powerful, just like you, and also transformative. I see this sword as something that can really bring so much light and brightness into Scorpio's life and Scorpio's season, and a lot of social influence as well. For some reason, I'm getting like really hot Aquarius energy, very innovative, very courageous, and influential for humanitarian cause. So do your thing, Scorpio. It sounds like you just need to be yourself, be courageous, dive deep, and come back to the surface with the prize. Happy Scorpio season. Happy birthday, y'all. Putting these two cards together, I would say Scorpio can really benefit from practicing some forgiveness. Forgive the parties who need to be forgiven and allow that forgiveness to let the emotional baggage spill out. But also, and that forgiveness will bring more balance to you. But it's also important to allow yourself to forgive your own past selves for any, anything ruthless that you may have done to yourself or to others. Allow others to forgive you for anything ruthless you may have had to do to them. And that doesn't always mean, going and confronting them. Sometimes it just means writing a letter and giving it to them, or writing a letter and destroying it. Sometimes forgiveness is an act of self-compassion. And I think that is one of the major lessons for Scorpio this season. Happy birthday, y'all. I wish you the best and a fantastic transformation season. Okay, welcome back, Sag. So Sagittarius. Look at all these coins. Let's really talk about it, Sag. So Sagittarius, you are starting out with the Daughter of Coins, aka the Page of Pentacles. I am loving this card so much lately because it has been popping out for me so much. But what I'm getting for you all, for Sag, is... So the Page of Pentacles is someone who is committing she's committing to learning something that she loves. And she's committing to do it because she loves it. It brings her emotional and spiritual satisfaction. And the reason I say that is because her dress is blue with white detail, and those colors indicate emotion and spirit. White represents purity, so she's someone who has a sort of innocence about her. She is new to this. She is, putting on her best face. She's staying really organized because this card is earth energy. Pentacles or coins are earth. And the earth is very stable and structured and disciplined. So she has those qualities as she's learning this new thing. And this new thing is something that will benefit her in the long run. It's going to give her a talent. It's going to give her some sort of reward. And I love you all's reading, Sag, because it is clarified by the Ace of Coins, Ace of Pentacles. And so I believe that whatever this new commitment is for you all, Sag, it's going to be something that does bring you a hefty reward. It's going to probably something that, or for some of you, something that creates a new stream of income. This could be something that you love doing anyway, and you always kind of want to do it, but it is something that requires discipline and requires commitment and learning over time. But I bet it's something that you're really good at, because the Ace of Pentacles is kind of like that, you know, heavy wallet energy. So it's like, it's a heavy reward and it's a heavy commit, but it's also something that you are talented or gifted at. Like, you're not coming to the table empty-handed, Sag. So I'm getting the message of very much like, just believe in yourself and commit. I know that Sagittarius is, Sagittarius can just be a very active and kind of like Spitfire. It's giving like Pop Rocks energy, Sagittarius, to me. So it's like, I know that you like to do many, many things, Sag, but this thing, the money is going to require you to commit. And when I say money, I really just mean reward. There is a major reward that's in store for you if you follow this path that brings, not just that requires commitment, but that also brings you joy. The Page, she's like the daughter, and you can tell that she has this like sort of crown of, it looks like lights on her head almost, but she has some sort of crown that indicates royalty. So she doesn't have to do this. This isn't a project that you have to do. This isn't a commitment you have to make, but it's something that you do because you love, and you can see that there's a reward. I'm almost getting that, like, you know this is a good idea, it just, you haven't necessarily committed. So I'm not calling you out, but it could very much benefit you to do this, Sagittarius. And just make sure that you're following your heart. Make sure that you're not compromising your authenticity or your innate worthiness for respect and worthy compensation. So whatever that means to you, I hope that you apply it to the area of life that makes the most sense for you. I also highly recommend you listen to Scorpio's reading, because Scorpio also encompasses some of the underlying energy that all of us are feeling since we're in Scorpio season. And I'll see you in the next one. Capricorn. So, Capricorn, you receive the Father of Knives for Scorpio season, also known as the King of Swords, okay? And you are, this is clarified by the Four of Pentacles, which is your energy, Capricorn. So, you may be in a position of mentorship or authority in a field that that requires knowledge that not everyone has access to. So maybe you have to take a class, you have to have a certificate in this, or you have to have just simply been through the experience in order to know. But it could be a scientific or mathematic field. It could be perhaps like a business oriented field. Because the King of Swords is Gemini energy, and that is like communication, business, travel, like short trips. But you are in this position, or perhaps you would like to be in this position, and there is stability here. There's stability in this position. But this tarot card, this Four of Pentacles from Biddy Tarot, it shows this person, like, her feet are even curled under these coins. And to me, it's indicating that it's someone who has really worked hard for this abundance, this home that she's built in the background here. And she may be at like a crossroads. I'm almost getting that she's like been at this smaller house, and because she's been in this small house, she knows how to like really manage her money well. That's why she's grasping these coins like this. But there's something bigger, and she's so close to it. And it's almost like maybe she needs to pay one in order to get there, but she's so trained and protective now over her material abundance, like her money, her environment, her friend group even perhaps, that she's not really willing to sacrifice one of these things in order to get to this bigger thing. So I wonder, Capricorn, if you are almost like in a season of graduation into a bigger and better season, but there's some sacrifice that you may need to make, and it may just require you to like pay a coin or share some of your knowledge perhaps in order to get to this bigger thing. Perhaps it's that idea that you've been sitting on, Capricorn, that you haven't had the time or the motivation or the resources to create. I think now it's time that perhaps you remember the resources that you have and use them innovatively to get you to this next island over here. Because it's bigger and it's better. There's more. You're not even going to be able to hold it in your hands, Cap, if you follow this intuitive and this work idea. I feel like it may have something to do with work or like a project. So keep that in mind, Capricorn. The King of Swords is also someone who who's very honest and straightforward and direct. So it may also just require you to say something that you haven't wanted to say, or use your voice where you felt that you can't, or you may be fearful or doubtful that it'll be effective. Good luck, and I wish you the best. Aquarius friends. So you all for Scorpio season are starting off with 2 major arcana. You have the Hermit and the Chariot. So there may be something that you have been wanting to experience or wanting to share with others, Aquarius. You are the sign that has the brilliant idea and isn't always understood, so sometimes it can feel discouraging when you share your brilliance with others. But there's something that you have that is necessary to share with others in order to hop in the Uber and head to your next bag. There's some idea, some brilliance, some perhaps even like secret or key or code that you have, that you know, and in order for there's some perhaps like idea, invention, information, strategy that you have, or that you've been thinking about. It's this lantern. It's like it's in this lantern, and it's really dark. You're comfortable in the dark, Aquarius, but others are not always comfortable in the dark. So it's really important for you to share your knowledge and your strategies, perhaps. I, for some reason, feel like it's a strategy, maybe because it's Scorpio season, but like there's something you know how to do that others don't. And it's uncomfortable sharing your ideas, but it's more uncomfortable to sit in the dark with others and maybe be uncomfortable or be creating a story that's not really happening in the light. So share out that idea, Aquarius, because the Chariot represents victory. And the Chariot, it's like after you run the race, the Chariot is waiting for you. It's comfortable in there. It's cozy. There's AC, there's snacks, there's drinks. Whatever you want is in the Chariot, and it's going to take you to your next adventure. So imagine what's beyond. I think perhaps something that is preventing you from sharing out is that you can't imagine what's beyond this experience or this challenge or this moment. I think that, as you can see, the Hermit in the Black Tarot is sitting in almost like a meditative pose. I think it could be helpful to imagine what is beyond and plant the seeds that are in your heart up in like the new moon area. We do have a new moon coming up tomorrow on November 13th. So I think this is very poetic timing that you may sit in meditation and feel what you know is in your heart to be true, or what you know that you deserve to see and feel and experience in the 3D. And allow that, allow the love and joy and abundance that creates in your heart to help you manifest a world that doesn't feel restrictive when you try to share your brilliance. I'm wondering if this could have to do with like a business idea, or perhaps like a social outreach, humanitarian cause. I'm saying that because that is one of your themes, Aquarius. You really do want to appeal to, and not simply appeal to, but you want to transform the world in service of other people. You want to create an entire future that is less restrictive and more loving for others. And I think that is just so revolutionary that it's hard for others to always grasp, even, much less accept. But you sharing your ideas is what moves the world. So just remember that. I wish you the absolute best, and I highly suggest you watch Scorpio's reading as well, since Scorpio themes affect all of us during Scorpio season. I'll see you next time. Welcome back, Pisces. It's such an honor to read for you again. Let's dive into your reading. So for Scorpio season, you all are starting with the Strength card. This is the energy surrounding you this Scorpio season, and it represents the inner beast within us, represented by this panther over here. It represents the inner beast in us, who is our courage, our ferocity, our protector, our ego, if you will. And it represents how it's our job to show that beast love, affection, attention, luxury even, so that it works with us in our favor. And when I say it, I'm talking about the inner beast, which we can also consider the ego. The ego is a part of our subconscious mind that actually exists in science, so it's not a spiritual or metaphysical term. The ego is a part of our subconscious mind that operates in order to protect us. So the intention of the ego is to help us avoid uncomfortable, unsafe, just uncertain situations that make us feel afraid and as though we don't have security or worthiness. The ego is in astrology is represented, by the sign of Capricorn. And so perhaps watch Capricorn's reading as well. There could be something there that could be helpful for you. But because the ego is represented by the sign of Capricorn, and we know that Capricorn is extremely hardworking, very diligent, very resourceful, very, persistent, the ego can be all those things as well. The ego is all those things. When the ego feels that something is unsafe, when I say the ego, I mean the inner beast. When the inner beast feels that something is unsafe or might cause embarrassment or instability or anything that a Capricorn kind of wouldn't be okay with, that inner beast begins to criticize us and criticize our choices. It begins to bring up old insecurities because it wants us to remember that time when. It wants us to remember what we've been through so that we don't repeat it. And sometimes that can be helpful because it can protect us from experiences and situations that wouldn't be supportive for our growth. But it can also make us feel afraid and like we don't trust ourselves. So sometimes the ego, which is in astrology and tarot communities referred to often as the shadow or the shadow self, this is the part of you that just really doesn't want to suffer because you've suffered so much. The shadow holds all of our suffering, and that's what is its motivator for criticism sometimes. And it doesn't want, it's like, please don't abandon me again. Don't do the same thing that you always do, or don't doubt yourself the way you always doubt yourself, or don't sabotage this thing. And we hear that sometimes, and we don't know how to accept the truth when it's coming from within. Sometimes it can cause depression. Other times it can just cause like real deep procrastination. And Pisces is also a sign that can be prone to procrastination due to the escapism factor. We find things that we enjoy and that take our attention away from the things that make us feel fear. And we end up, and we lean so far into those things and we become good at them because Pisces is also good at lots of things. But we chameleon ourselves and we forget who's behind the mask. So the strength is really about learning to dance, to do that dance with your ego, where you allow your ego to teach you, but not to control you. It's about the balance, right? I'm not sure. I know that there's the id, the ego, and the superego, but I don't know anything beyond that really, unless I would go back into old notes from school. But if you're interested in that, that could be a topic or subject that you may learn from if you were to do a little bit of research on it. I think that it could be interesting for you to study that realm of psychology, because for you, Pisces, you are a sign that is deeply aware of everyone's collective emotions, and sometimes it can be difficult to distance ourselves from what we feel in our environments, from between what we feel in our environments and what's happening within us. So I think it's just important that perhaps this Scorpio season, Scorpio is the researcher who digs deep to get to the bottom, to the root of things, and studying the ego and the other parts of our conscious and subconscious mind could be really interesting and important. And I think there may be something within that research that can help you find that sweet balance between what we feel in our bodies versus what we feel in our environments, because distinguishing that is very, very important for our physical health as well. Remember that Pisces is a sister sign to Virgo. While Virgo knows how to immediately put her finger on whatever's happening and that needs to be analyzed and corrected, Pisces has a much more difficult time with that because Pisces is the ocean. I will go ahead and just put a pause right there. The ocean is a very busy and mysterious place, and it's not always easy to catch those fish, right? Because Pisces is the two fish. So it's not always easy to like identify and resolve with Pisces. So take your time, do research, lean into the parts of you that are soft with yourself. When you hear your inner critic starting to do that or the little like chatterbox in the background, you can ask, what do you want to teach me right now? What are you trying to teach me right now? What do you want me to know? Beyond why are you criticizing, or yeah, I'm not good at that, or I'm not going to be as good as a competition, or I'm not going to be able to whatever, right? Allow the optimistic fish, Pisces, to be the leader of the boat right now. I don't know what I was trying to do with that analogy, but I hope you understand what I mean. Lean into positive thinking, show yourself love. I think that the Strength card, it's represented by Leo. Typically it's the Empress with a lion, and it's represented by a lion who's softened and learned to be loved because of the nurturing that it's receiving. So that's the same thing happening here with the Panther and this Queen. She is like in a graceful and loving dance. There's a flower back here. It shows like deep love, a lot of passion, but the Strength card is represented by Leo, which is the inner child. And I believe that when we get this card, Pisces, it's important for us to make sure that we are nurturing our inner child and pouring love into the inner child within us who's really upset or hurt, or, you know, the teenager who is angsty or has a lot of pent up anger. Scorpio is the vengeful and angsty teenager of the zodiac. So this season for us Pisces, right? I'm not putting myself in the reading, but I can identify for sure with an overall feeling of just angst and frustration and just being like a little bit irritable. So remember, there's so many signs in our sister sign of Scorpio that we can start to kind of reflect that energy, because we are such mirrors for society and for others. Now, the Strength card is, what's the word for this? Clarified by the Five of Cups. And the Five of Cups is here to remind us that while things may have spilled, we may have suffered from loss in the past, it doesn't mean that there's not something that we can still salvage, right? I would relate this to the Strength card by saying that, yeah, our egos can have the effect of hurting us or causing discomfort or emotional struggle when we lean into the negative thinking of it. Our ego, being represented by the sign of Capricorn, does talk about self-worth, and Capricorn is known for being hardworking and like a boss bitch, but it's also very, very prone to self-doubt. It's like every sign has a beautiful gift and an equal and opposite weakness. So remember that it's about you leaning into believing in yourself and knowing that you are here to offer something that no one else has because you're unique, and it would take another 10,000 years to make anything even close to resembling you. So I believe that it's about having strength in being able to balance your positive thinking with your negative or harsh critical thinking. Back to the Five of Cups. If you've been in a relationship or had a difficult experience in the past, the one where your ego really gets really nasty with you in your mind, you're welcome to take a different perspective, look behind you or look to the past or look to the present and notice what's there that you haven't tapped into. I think that there may be, in that really difficult experience, there may be something very small or unnoticeable but mighty that you can pick up and take with you that will serve as a kind of like motor fuel in the form of like encouragement or knowledge that you haven't connected yet. Perhaps there was perhaps you were bullied as a child and that made you really shy in social settings and with groups of friends. And perhaps because of that, you haven't allowed your light to shine the way you know that it can. And I think that this, in pairing with the Strength card, is very much about noticing perhaps where you've been giving your power away, because the sign of Scorpio is also a sign of power and transformation. So, transformation. So where may you have been giving your power away in a way that was causing you unnecessary emotional tension and perhaps like causing you to hold a grudge against the past? That thing, that situation, that experience, it's preventing you from being able to cross this bridge and get back home to this beautiful life that you've created. It's really important for us to put our bags down, shed that emotional heaviness that we know doesn't belong there anymore, and pick up what still works and move on. So having the courage and strength to move past a past disappointment. I wish you the absolute best, Pisces, and happy Scorpio season. Hey, what's up, Aries? It's so good to read for you again. Thank you for rejoining me here at the Soul Tree. I'm going to read for the Scorpio season, and I highly recommend that you watch the Scorpio reading because it's Scorpio season, so Scorpios are currently experiencing something that can be felt collectively. There may be some themes in the video that could apply to your reading. You are both ruled by Mars, Aries, and Scorpio, so I think that it could be quite useful for you if you watch the Scorpio reading. Let's jump into yours. So you're starting off with the Six of Baskets here. This is also known as the Six of Cups. And the Six of Baskets represents a return to an old love. So I often hear tarot readers online referring to this card as going back to an ex, or perhaps that situate like a familiar friend who you beefed out with and then you decided to be friends with them again. But to me, this card also represents something that used to bring you joy. It could have been a project, something that you poured love into. It could have been an old organization that you're part of, perhaps like an old group of friends you used to hang out with, and maybe nothing happened, but maybe you just drifted apart. Perhaps part of life will be, perhaps just life got bigger and more time consuming for all of you. Naturally, that happens. But I am getting the feeling that for some of you, it's some friend or some group of friends or family member even who you love, but something just got in the way of that relationship. And this is clarified by the Seven of Swords. The Seven of Swords is a card of strategy. It is very much Scorpio energy to me. I believe that this card, I know that this card, the original story is that this person or soldier is facing a army over here somewhere, and he's just stealing 5 of their swords and leaving them with 2, and he's gonna go hide these swords so that they can't use them against him. And I think that perhaps there are thoughts or memories that you have about this past person, relationship, commitment, and it could be helpful to assess your thinking about this situation. Is there like a grudge that maybe you've been holding on to that's been getting in the way of something that could be good? Is there someone who is trying to come back into your life who you don't know if you can trust? Like maybe there's a different way that you could consider thinking about the situation that could open your eyes to a truth about the matter, or that could give you the confidence perhaps to face whatever the situation might be. I do think that for some of you, this could be a creative project or a passion, labor of love, if you will. And I think that if you want it to be successful this time, it's going to be necessary to change your moves, change your approach, change the way you think. This Seven of Swords, the guy on the Seven of Swords, he's doing this to benefit himself. He's trying to take away the obstacle before he has to confront it. And in that way, he's being really smart. However, it could be for some of you that someone or something is re-entering your life or attempting to. And when I say something, it could just be like an old job is trying to rehire you, or, you know, perhaps someone from your past is like talking shit and trying to get your attention. But it's like you are in control right now. The ball's in your court. You have access to the tools. So use them strategically. If you need to move some things out of the way, for example, block this person so that they can't get in touch with you, then that's what you need to do if you know that this is not something that's good for you. Remember that every experience that we have affects our inner child as well. So our inner child is really the person who's experiencing the things that we go through, but we are just in larger bodies. People assume that once we reach certain milestones of physical maturity, that we are also meeting those milestones mentally, and that's not the case. Past experiences, especially experiences that had deep emotional impact on us, those experiences can lock us into that time period, especially when they're traumatic. So I think that part of the way you might want to strategize, Aries, is by giving your inner child some love, some attention that perhaps you haven't gotten before. And this could be as simple as if someone is trying to gossip about you, or if someone is cheating on you or trying to pull the wool over your eyes in any way. And when I say cheating on you, like, please don't feel any sort of paranoia about your romance or romantic relationships. These things could also just be you are at work and you're trying to advocate for yourself, but someone's trying to act like they don't see all that you do when they're well aware, and everyone might be aware. So I hope that perhaps you can, it could just be as simple as, you know, I hope that you're able to reroute the energy that is being poured into whatever the relationship is to help it best benefit your necessary outcome. If you're hoping to sever ties from whatever this is, then please do that. Like, move those swords out of the way, remove the opportunity for something a negative to rejoin your life. But if you're hoping for a positive outcome, or you're open to give it a try, and you know that it wouldn't be a negative choice in your life, you know, you can move obstacles out of the way, like perhaps a little bit of negative thinking, or perhaps like some emotional walls, or like mental blockages, or perhaps even fixation on something. Like, you can't get over something, your mind just keeps going over and over and over it. It's like, okay, Scorpio, this is a Scorpio trait. That's why I said that. Scorpio fixates on emotions. It's still water. So it's like you can ruminate on that for the rest of your life, but what are you going to do? Like, are you going to reclaim your power from that? Remember, Aries, you are a sign that is full of power and passion and movement and authenticity. You really love yourself. And if you don't, I hope that you can grow to. But you really are about honesty and authenticity and courage. So have the courage to forgive, or make room, make mental space for a different perspective if it will help you in this situation with a past love or a past commitment. All right. The last thing that I'll say is, because this is baskets or cups and swords energy, this is a lot about thinking about love. So thinking about a relationship. And remember, the thoughts that you lean into are the thoughts that will grow. So if you lean into negative or paranoid or angry thinking, it doesn't really make room for logic. So go ahead and do your best this Scorpio season. I know that you, Aries, are going to follow your heart no matter what, and I wish you the absolute best. I will see you next time. Hello, my lovely Taurus. Thank you so much for joining me again. I'm here to read for Scorpio season. This season is all about power, passion, intensity, and transformation. So take what resonates and leave what does not for another Taurus. So for Scorpio season, you are starting off with the Mother of Wands, also known as the Queen of Wands. The Queen of Wands is a character. She's one of my favorite in the tarot, and she is one of the four queens. However, she is the queen who's the witch. Her talent is also inclusive of spirituality. So the Queen of Wands is someone who knows how to create using not just the materials around her, but also her sex appeal. She's very attractive. She also knows how to create using her emotions She knows how to create using her passionate emotions. She knows how to she has courage that none of the other queens have. She's the only queen who's willing to challenge the Empress. So if the Empress says something, the other queens are usually like, bet, I got you, no problem. But the Queen of Wands is like, I don't want to do that. I'm going to do what I want. And that attitude that I'm going to do what I want, I'm going to follow what makes me happy, is represented by her signature sunflower, which is always on her card, typically in most decks. The Queen of Wands here is clarified by the Four of Cups. And so when I put these two cards together, it tells me for you, Taurus, that there is some passion project. I'm definitely feeling a passion project here, or some way that you use your naturally given skill. You were just born with this. It's not something that you really had to work for, but perhaps you did have to cultivate a sense of courage or confidence around this skill. And I think that it's something that you've experienced disappointment over in the past because of how others have received it. And I say that because the Four of Cups represents someone who, I like to think that this person's like at a party and they've had all these drinks, but they're not having a good time. And they only had these drinks because like their friends and stuff were turning up and they wanted to be part of it. But they would much rather just be like sitting in the corner listening to J. Cole. I don't know. But there is worth in sitting back and taking a moment to reflect and like pull yourself away from all the ongoings and just have a moment of reflection. Four is a number of focus. And when you focus your emotions, it is sort of the act of reflecting, right? It's almost like reflecting water. So you're just thinking about all the things, you're processing your experiences, you're processing what you've received from others, and you're deciding, okay, these are the things that have basically gone into my stomach. This is what I've digested. What do I want to grow from this? What do I want the leaves to be? And when you can decide that, that's when you're going to get the drink that's going to set you off for the night. So that's what I'm thinking about for this Mother of Wands. I'm thinking for you, Taurus, it's giving that whatever this talent or skill is, you haven't necessarily been able to manifest what you've been hopeful for. However, I think that perhaps in the past for some of you, you weren't putting forth your most confident foot, or perhaps you were just like working on projects partially and then letting them rot or collect dust. I know that Taurus has a negative reputation for being lazy, and I actually think that that is a slur when talking about Taurus, because Taurus is very, very hardworking and willing to put in work and effort. However, Taurus is not going to waste an ounce of sweat, a drop of sweat. An ounce is way too much for Taurus to waste. And the reason Taurus won't do that is because Taurus wants to produce quality. Taurus wants to produce something that will be appreciated, and more than anything, that they appreciate. So I almost want to say that I encourage you to revisit that project or that goal that you set for yourself that helps you express your genuine love for yourself and for what you do. Taurus is unlike any other sign in the sense that Taurus knows how to create with the earth. Taurus is a fantastic artist sign because Taurus is the embodiment. Literally the body, the flesh of earth is what Taurus is, all right? So Taurus is like what grows from the ground and makes beauty on earth. That's what Taurus does, and that's what Taurus is. So once you're able to feel confident about what you create and the impact that it has on the world, that's when you're going to be able to manifest this happiness, this new and abundant fresh start. That is what awaits you when you are able to know who you are and know what you do, know what you create. Mother of Wands or Queen of Wands, she's an incredibly creative energy. She's like a fiery burst of creativity. It's almost like, I can't remember the sister's name in Encanto. I think it's Luisa, the one who just like flips her hair and there's flowers everywhere. That is like what the Mother of Wands does. She can just blink her eyes and produce a sunflower for you. That's kind of why she's magic. You are magic, Taurus. So believe in yourself, do that thing, finish it and put it out, and don't worry about what others think. You are an artist because it brings you emotional fulfillment. So I wish you the absolute best this Scorpio season and happy transformation. Beautiful Gemini. Thank you so much again for joining me. I'm going to be reading for Scorpio season, and I am so excited for you, Gem, because you are starting with the Empress, clarified by the Emperor. What? You cannot make this up. I am so excited. I know y'all saw me shuffle in the very beginning, so you can't literally like, this is phenomenal. I was about to cuss. Okay, so we have divine counterparts here for Scorpio season. I can't even like describe to you how lit this feels as a reader. You have the divine feminine creatrix. You have the divine feminine creatrix with the divine masculine creator. Get into it. We're talking about authority. We're talking about leadership. We're talking about absolute abundance. We're talking not about just like temporary wealth. We're talking about absolute abundance, okay? If some of you are pregnant or wanting to be pregnant, it is a very fertile time for you. So I hope you heard the way I said it. I said it, fertile, okay? whether it's the tile of the carpet, let me stop. If you are planning to have a child, this is a very, very lucky and auspicious month for you. But if you are not, and that would not be something that would bring joy to your life, I would highly recommend taking precautions just so that you are not surprised by anything that would throw off your life too much, Gemini. So the Emperor and the Empress together make me feel like there's an entrepreneurial air of Scorpio season for you. I think this may have to do with something that is helping you create your own abundance and create your own stability so that you don't have to rely on the everyday 9 to 5 style of working, but also so that you don't have to rely on others as much and you can have more independence in your life. The Emperor and the Empress are the figureheads for the kings and the queens in the tarot. And basically the kings are famous, but the Emperor is powerful. The queens are poppin', but the Empress is that bitch, okay? So for you, Gemini, I think that you are now, you've found a way to unite your masculine and feminine energies. And for that reason, you're extremely powerful in what you're able to manifest this Scorpio season. So you and Scorpio are in a square dynamic, but I almost feel like because of whatever other aspects are happening this specific Scorpio season, you are able to work with this transformative, passionate, intense energy and really create some dynamic and transformative changes. You're really able to usher in some dynamic changes into your life that can really set you up for future success. Like, I'm not even thinking like 10, 20, I'm thinking like generational success, because the Emperor and the Empress are both earth energy, or excuse me, the Empress is earth, but the Emperor is fire. So the Empress is typically syncretized with Taurus, and the Emperor is usually compared with Aries. So with those energies, that is about stability. That's long-term stability, and that's short-term, not short-term, but like a burst of leadership energy, authenticity, excitement. I think you're entering a really prosperous and like a season where you're going to feel the worth that you create and put out into the world. Because I don't think that you've necessarily been able to taste that for a long period of time yet, Gemini. Not in the sense or the way that matches what you put out into the world and what you believe it's worth. So I think this will be a season where you name your price and you will get it. You spend time and pour that love and nurturing into your projects, and you will reap all of the benefits necessary to just continue the cycle over and over in a way that sustains, that makes you feel like this, in a way that makes you feel like you have all of the material things that you like. You're able to take the best care of your body. You're able to put the most nourishing and healthy foods into your body. Your life has a flow and is producing fruits in abundance like never before. The only thing I'll say about the Emperor when it's clarified by the Empress is sometimes the Emperor can be a little bit controlling and want things to go only his way, and he's not always open to alternative methods or paths. So keep in mind that if any obstacles come in front of you, they're just there to test whether or not you're the Emperor. Now, I don't know about y'all, but if I was a knight, because knights are in the tarot, I would only want to spar with other knights. I wouldn't challenge the king, really, because I'm like, oh, he's the king, like he probably knows what he's doing. And I super would not be challenging the Emperor. Okay, so if the obstacle comes to you, remember the obstacle is not even a knight. It's kind of like a page. That page don't really want it with you. And just like handle it, just strategize, figure it out, or outsource it, and move on into your luxury, into your abundance, into your creative juice. Like, I'm just so excited for you, Aries. So that is your Scorpio season message. I also highly recommend you watch the Scorpio reading, because Scorpio season means that we are all experiencing collectively what Scorpio would offer. So I wish you the absolute best, and I will see you next time. Okay, so Cancer, my lovely, beautiful Cancer. My sweet, cozy Cancer. I love reading for y'all. Ooh, it's Scorpio season. Like, I immediately have this feeling of just like cozy, love, warmth, like maybe a little sexy. I don't know, Cancer. I'm liking this. I like this. Okay, let's jump into your reading. So, sister sign, you are starting with the Magician. This is the Black Tarot. Look how gorgeous this Magician card is. Like, I'm shook. So, the Magician has a tattoo of a hot air balloon on his arm, which you probably can't see because my camera is limited. But he is surrounded by the waters of an ocean. He's standing on a rock, and you can kind of see the ocean splashing up here. So it indicates like rushing emotions, rushing spirit. It's almost like he's channeling or conjuring the ocean to come near him. And in that ocean, he's going to plant the seed that is of prosperity, the seed of security. The orange on the sunset here represents, for me, it represents the sacral chakra, which is all about our security and pleasure and ability to know that we are worthy. So the orange representing the sacral and the yellow representing the solar plexus chakra, which is all about our ability to show up for ourselves and be confident and stand up for what we believe in. These two, these ideas of these two colors and these two chakras are what are energizing the seed or the goal or the thing that he wants to be able to feel and experience in his everyday life in the 3D world. So he is planting a seed from his heart, or you can think of it as something that he imagines for himself, or a visual or a vision board even that he created, and he took like a mental snapshot of it, and he's going to drop it in this rushing water that he has called up to himself, because he knows that the universe all conspires in his favor at all times. And he knows that whatever he dreams in his heart, he can see it materialize like this flower in the background. He can hold it in his hand. So the magician is Gemini energy, and you are the sign that comes just after Gemini. So you know what it means to be able to consider multiple sides. You know what it means to have conflicting desires. And you, Cancer, are so emotionally mature and intuitive that for you, it's easiest for you, in my opinion, compared to the other signs, to manifest things, because you know how to speak things into existence, but you also know how to feel things into existence. So I think that this season, you are being encouraged to feel the quality environment and the quality lifestyle that you want to experience into the world. You can do this by sitting in meditation and visualizing perhaps the home or the work environment that you want to experience. And because you're a Cancer, I know you want some good food, so make sure you put a good kitchen in there or ask for one. You can also do this by making a list of things that you desire, things that you want to see, maybe even writing on a basic level, just writing like your holiday wish list. If your family or friend group practices any sort of gift exchange thing, I bet that if you write what you want on your wish list, you'll probably get it this season. But thinking more transformatively, write down or think about what you want the world to be like after this year. So consider all of the people who've entered your life and what they've taught you. Consider the work that you've put in to create a better way of existing and feeling in the physical world for yourself. But also consider who are people that have supported you along the way, or who are people that perhaps you have wanted to consult because you know that they're very good at what they do. These people can help you realize whatever this dream or goal is that you want to manifest. Remember that it's the new moon, and the magician is actually a really wonderful card for new moon, because as you can see down here, we're actually right at his sacral chakra area. Your sacral chakra is right at your lower abdomen, and this is a full moon here. I wish you could see it a little bit better, but it's a full moon. And up here above his head is the new moon. So this is us right now in Scorpio season. And 6 months from now, you will see at the Scorpio full moon some fruit of whatever seed you plant during this time, okay? So think about the sky above you as like where the ideas are. And it's kind of like as you think and as you visualize and see these things coming to fruition for yourself, you are planting seeds that will grow and bloom for you by the full moon, all right? The Three of Pentacles also, it indicates collaborative work. So it could be that perhaps it would be helpful to collaborate with someone that you love, or collaborate with an expert or someone who, like a therapist or a family member. Write a collaborative list with them, because these, like, two minds is better than one, that kind of energy. But also quality requires multiple resources. So don't feel like you have to do it all alone. And also don't feel like consulting with other people is going to take away from your authentic vision, because remember that it's what you see in your mind and your heart that you will experience. But that can also provide a lot of beauty and inspiration and illumination for others as well. All right, Cancer, I am so grateful that I was able to read this for you. This is a beautiful reading, and I wish you the absolute best Scorpio season. You all are incredibly powerful and intuitive, and I actually think that you are the most powerful manifestors out of the water signs and out of the whole zodiac, kind of, because you have such an intuitive and emotional connection with spirit and with earth. You are the sign, the crab, that lives on earth and in water. So you have a very easeful way of getting what you want out of the ocean and bringing it earthside. So I wish you the absolute best, and I cannot wait to see what kind of beauty I get to experience because of your collective joy and manifestation. Have a wonderful transformation season, and I'll see you next time. My lovely Leos. Ooh, Leo, I cannot wait to read for you, baby, because you are starting with the Lovers and the Knight of Wands. And when I say starting, these are your only two cards. It's not like you have other cards coming out. So for your Scorpio season theme, you have the Lovers. The Lovers is sometimes known as the choice card, because when we choose a lover, we are making a choice that transforms our life. Scorpio season is transformation season, and I highly recommend that you watch their reading, because I do think that you may find, if not one, a number of things that may resonate or clarify or support you in some way, so that you can experience the most desirable outcome for Scorpio season 2 and through the end of the year. So the Lover's card is a choice. if this is a romantic situation for you, this could be that perhaps you're ready to take something to the next level. Perhaps you're ready to make something more serious in your life, or make a commitment that perhaps you haven't been open to in the past, or perhaps have been maybe a little bit nervous about in the past. You may also have a work situation that could be similar, or perhaps there has been an invitation for you, or perhaps you've been invited to something that you haven't necessarily known whether or not you want to fully commit yourself to. So with the Lovers, you have the Knight of Wands, and the Knight of Wands suggests that there's some inconsistency or passion here that could be, it's like a flame that's quickly put in. It's like a flame that's quickly turned on and quickly snuffed out. But the Knight of Wands is a person who goes after his passion and doesn't allow anything to get in the way. Like, he will set fire to some shit if it gets in his way of getting to the thing that he desires, or the thing that is necessary for his people to thrive. And the Lovers are people who represent two parts of the same soul. So you can think about it like cell reproduction. It starts off as one cell, and then it breaks off into two cells. So there's one cell, and then suddenly it becomes two. And that is exactly how souls work, in my opinion, right? I believe that when you get the Lovers card, you're really being encouraged to unite with the thing, the person, or the place that feels most aligned to your soul. And I think that the Knight of Wands is kind of just a confirmation of that, because the Knight of Wands, he's powered by fire. Wands is fire energy. So his heart, his inner flame, is what guides him. There's not really anything that can get in the way of his desire, because his feet move when he feels his heart, like when he feels the desire and passion in his heart. So I think that this season for you, Leo, is about deciding and to commit to something finally. Maybe it's been a while that you've been like testing this thing out. So it's probably about like, is you in or is you ain't? Do you want to be with this person, or do you want to move on? Or is this thing for you, or is it time for you to find something new? So I definitely think that you are going to have a transformative season, a season that will transform your life, a season that will introduce you to a way of living and a joy that you may not have been able to experience before. I think this is a really positive outlook for you, as long as you follow your heart and do what feels authentic. All right, Leo, I know that you know this because you are the sign that is symbolized by the heart anatomically and by the sun, the luminary in the sky. So you know what it means to bring life to love. And I love that for you. Thank you all for being that warmth that we need. Have a wonderful Scorpio season, and I wish you the absolute best. My beautiful Virgo, hello, hello. Happy Scorpio season. Before I get into your reading, I highly recommend that you watch the Scorpios reading, because there are many things that can apply to all of us, as it is Scorpio season, and what they are experiencing can also be felt on the collective at this time. So for your reading, it is quite a thing. You are starting with the Star card, and I absolutely love the illustration on this particular card from the Black Tarot. The Star card in this deck represents a couple who have been in the trenches of enslavement, of bondage, and of hopelessness, and they have finally been freed from their misery. If you look on this dress, you may be able to see the outline of shackles, and those shackles are now broken because this person, this woman, and this man, or these people on this card, have been able to identify the purity in their own innate existence. And because they've identified that and they've healed a wound that made them feel like they were incapable or unworthy, or any other combination of negative self-degrading thoughts, they have awakened an ancestral light in the sky, or they've awakened an ancestral gift, a blessing, and they can see the star in the sky brightly, and that's like their North Star that helps them remember who they are, remember where they're going, remember what their passion and their purpose is, and they've healed, so they're able to dance finally. And I think that for you, Virgo, there's something that is healing in your life, or some form of innovation, or like a new change, a shift in your life that is allowing you to see that you are worthy of dancing through this experience. Whew, we got deep so fast, Virgo. I love it. It is Scorpio season. One thing Scorpio is going to do is get deep. So the star for you is clarified here today by the Ten of Swords and the Magician. And so this healing is bringing about the end of a really toxic, let me get my cards straight. This healing, the Star card, the Star energy, is referencing the end, or it's it's hearkened by the end of a toxic cycle of negative thinking. This card, the Ten of Swords, can also represent lying, being betrayed, being lied to, you know, hidden information, and like just things being done, stabbed in the back kinds of things. But this healing is clarified by the end of a toxic cycle. And I get negative thinking off of this card because I do think that past experiences over time have caused you to, in your own ways, sort of affirm a negative pattern. You've had a lot of varied experiences in life, so you're not sure what to trust, but you do know that there are a number of experiences that have proven to you what you know to be true about how life operates, or about how certain relationships work, or about who you are, about what you do and what you can do, what you're capable of. And I think that this could also be related to your power. Scorpio is a sign about power and often encourages us to reclaim our power. Instead of fixating on things, we can let them go, and in that way also reclaim our power. And because you have the Magician here, I think that you're in a very powerful season of saying things that can bring closure to a negative cycle or negative cycles in your life. I think that this Scorpio season is a very powerful time for cord cutting. And what I mean by that is, if you have any fixations or addictions or just like annoyances and attachments to things that are either arbitrary, or like, for example, I have this thing about hearing people's mouth sounds. Like, even when I'm recording and I can hear my mouth, like, it just is so sick to me. And that is a me problem. Mouth sounds are a natural human thing, but like, I know I'm not the only one. Y'all put in the comments if you can relate, because the girls who get it, get it. But I digress, and I think that this is a good season for you to perhaps write those peeves down, write those things that like grind your gears so hard, Virgo, because you know that things could and should be better, but they're not. And sometimes that feels like, what is Earth? Like, it's so ratchet. I don't know why I'm here or why the rest of us are here. But, and it does feel that, I know that I'm saying that and it's kind of intense, but Scorpio season is intense, and Virgo's criticism can feel intense even when it's rooted in truth. But we're healing that. We're healing that. We're healing that cycle of toxic thinking. We're healing cycles of toxic attachment to things that really are getting in the way of our ability to manifest what we really want. So I think that this season, cord cutting could be just writing down those things that you don't like and perhaps tearing them up after. You could do a burn ritual, burn the piece of paper safely, of course. You could type them in a Google Doc if you want to use less paper. If you don't want to waste paper, type them in a Google Doc and then delete the document ceremoniously if it supports your positive thinking and bringing closure. And then also make a list of what you want to see in this new life. In this new life after you've healed, what do you want to see, hear, feel, be, experience? What do you want to be able to let go of? What are the parts of the seeds that you're planting, Virgo, in this new moon rather? What are the seeds that you're planting that are viable, and what are the ones you need to throw out? Perhaps those are the ones that you write on your list to release. But remember that the new moon is all about manifesting. So focus your attention and your energy on, focus this heart space light on what you want to experience in this next version of your life. Because remember that because Scorpio is transformation season, it's really about turning the soil over and preparing and planting the seeds that you want to see, feel, and be in 2024 and beyond. So I wish you an absolutely wonderful Scorpio season, and congratulations on bringing closure to these cycles that no longer serve you and for healing. Have a lovely month, Virgo, and I will see you next time.